Morning, everybody. Michelle is here. Michelle is here on my favorite day, Sunday. Today is, May 24th, 2026. So it's been a minute since I put some videos out. And that's because I'm busy doing some things, handling my business, getting ready for whatever, my lifestyle is changing a lot. And what I mean by that is, how I live is changing a lot. And it's coming with some challenges, which I expected. It's coming with some difficulties, which I expected. But I wouldn't change a thing. I put videos out all the time that says, be careful what you ask for, because you might get it. So, and I notice with a lot of people are just not prepared for anything that's happening. People are not prepared. People are waiting for the midterms. They're waiting for the politicians. They're waiting for the religious figures. Those tentacles. They're waiting for those tentacles to decide for them how they're supposed to move. Okay, you need to know when to move, when to fold, when to walk away. Those are your decisions to make. Otherwise, you're gonna allow someone else that has no idea of your particular situation to decide for you how you're supposed to live and what you're supposed to be doing. But I feel fantastic, magnificent and marvelous. I'm getting ready to go outside and work out. But I wanted to come in and say some things that, you need to be prepared on your own. If you are putting all your eggs in one basket, believing these religious tentacles are going to take care of you, you're going to be sadly disappointed. And not to mention, putting yourself in danger, especially if you have children. Thankfully I do not, so I can take a bit more risk, than most, because I do not have children. And animals, come on now. A lot of people are going to suffer some sad results because of the amount of animals they have. We've allowed some of these animals, mostly dogs, we've allowed dogs to become so dependent on humans that if you left a dog home by itself, chances are, let's say you left a dog home by itself for a while, days on end, chances are that dog is not going to survive. So we've done this to the animals. We made them so dependent and so, so outside of their natural behaviors and actions. Like dogs were the best at hearing certain sounds and tones, smelling certain scents. They had all of these various components of themselves which helped them to survive on their own before the humans came in and just kind of stripped them of all of that, those components which made them a dog. A dog is just it's a human. It's a replacement for humans and their emotions. Everyone says that their dogs are, support them emotionally. Therefore, the dog doesn't have time to be a dog. He's so focused on supporting you, the human. So, and this is going to create a situation where these animals are going to start turning on people. Okay. I haven't had a chance to listen to the news or know what's really happening in the world, even though some of that is, if you pay attention enough, if you're observant and you just watch what's really going on around you in your particular neighborhood and you're in particular environment, you can pick up the signs of what is really going on by paying attention to people. Okay, I love to people watch, not that degenerate part that I notice. When I go to certain parks, because that's just something I enjoy, going to the park and going out in nature, actually getting out in nature, and working out. I can see that there are some predators also in these parks. they know how to disguise themselves a lot differently than they were, say, in the 80s and the 90s. They have the devices now and the technology now, to watch everything you do and pay attention to you. And you may not even know what the hell is going on because you're focused on yourself. You're supposed to. So my point is, pay attention to your environment. Do the best you can to stay alert. I know sometimes when you get into these intense workouts, some people just kind of get toned out. Like the other day when I was taking a walk, minding my goddamn business, as I always do and usually do, unless it's necessary for me not to. I was walking, and then all of a sudden I hear somebody running up behind me, and I look around, and the guy, he's just working out too. But people need to just pay attention to everyone's space as well. Respect the space of people out there, out in nature. I get so annoyed by that because just leave people alone. I know a lot of people consider going in parks and these kind of recreational areas as places for socializing. Not all the time. Not everybody wants to socialize. Okay, no one wants to be rude to you and say, "Hey, just let me walk in peace. Let me walk in nature. Let me work out in nature without having these superficial conversations." There's a lot of it is superficial. A lot of people, I think a lot of people believe that they need to always acknowledge people around them. Yes, you can acknowledge people with a smile and move on. It's not necessary to start into conversations, because you know what happens once you get into conversations with people these days. You're going to know their life history, and they're going to hold you hostage, in a metaphor of what they're going through in their life. And this, and I'm going to be real honest without being offensive, but most people can care less about what's going on in your life right now, especially if they're working on trying to figure out how are they going to feed themselves, how are they going to clothe themselves, what type of housing and da-da-da-da-da-da. So again, I'm going to say this with all kindness and gentleness. Work on leaving people alone. Okay, leave people alone. See if you can just step back and watch and stop looking for these cell phone moments or social media moments where you can film your kindness. Okay, that's probably as superficial as anything I ever seen. Kindness is kindness. Why do you need to film it? Why does it need to be on social media? Yes, some of those moments make me feel good, but it's so funny. Once one person does it, then a million other people are doing the same thing. That's how we are. We're eating each other alive, literally, figuratively, and metaphorically. If one person is getting attention for something, millions of other people are going to do the same goddamn thing to get that same amount of attention. And don't get a million views. Oh boy. Now you kind of opening up a can of worms where everybody else is going to be following what you do, stealing your ideas, stealing your creativity. Just see if we can work on making it normal to leave people alone and greet people with a smile and move the fuck on. Greet them with a smile and kindness and move on. Leave people alone. Let people be. If somebody's running around talking to themselves, let them be. Out here in the park, you're going to find a lot of that. People are just going on and having these conversations with themselves. Go ahead. Allow people to do that. And vice versa. Just leave people alone. Acknowledge people with a smile, with a wave, but go on. Don't stop asking, okay, what are you doing? Why are you working out like that? What's the benefit of it? Just all this intrusion and invasion. Okay, let's normalize allowing people to sit in these spaces, which is limited space, in these parks, especially in libraries. Allow people to sit in peace. Okay? And another thing about this library bullshit, I know that the library is a nonprofit, and it doesn't surprise me that is in chaos. The libraries are in chaos because of this need to be more than you are. Okay, it is not the library's responsibility to take care of the homeless. Sorry, it is not the library's responsibility to deal with someone's mental illness. Okay, the library is a library for those of us like myself and others who want to come in there and be in peace and see if we can contemplate, cultivate how to navigate our lives better. Okay, the libraries are turning into babysitting. You know, you got people sitting there from hours on end. Okay, and they're just sitting there, taking up space for people that actually, like the elderly. Some of the elderly find comfort and joy in coming into the libraries in a supposedly safe space to to indulge in certain hobbies or reading certain materials, just to get themselves out of their home. And not necessarily everybody wants to socialize. Okay, I'm not looking to date no one. Okay, I'm not looking to hook up with anybody. And we need to allow people that space to just be. Even if you're outdoors, okay. Even if you're homeless, okay, I understand that. Well, no, I don't. I don't understand homeless. Let me make that very clear. I have no idea what it means to be homeless. Okay, but I do have compassion and empathy for those of you that are so-called unhoused. I know there's more to it than just being unhoused and homeless, but nobody wants to address that. There's more going on behind the scenes than just being homeless and unhoused. But if I'm out there, outside, outdoors, I don't want to be fucking bothered by someone claiming they're hungry. Nobody's hungry. Okay, no one's hungry that are with these signs outside, out in the streets. They're not homeless. I mean, they're not hungry. Okay, they want your finances. They want you to pay for their addiction, pay for their indulgence. Okay, let's be clear and honest and stop this lying and about caring about the homeless and the unhoused. Okay, most people can care less about them because a lot of the homeless and a lot of the unhoused are skilled in manipulation and deception. Snap out of it. It's been like that for decades upon decades upon decades. Okay, a lot of these unhoused and so-called homelessness, that's their profession. Okay, so leave them alone and allow them to fall on their own face, because what we're doing is interfering in their demise, especially the ones that are in the manipulation and the deception of that particular lifestyle. Okay, they know what they're doing. Okay, a lot of it is a lot of people used to say it's a criminal network. I agree. I would say 75% of it is a criminal network. That's high, isn't it? And there's a reason why there's no solution, because that's not the issue with homelessness. A solution is not the issue. It's about getting federal funding, and donations. It's a game. Okay, and the sooner we wake up and realize that it's a game, even though the damage has been done, it's too late. A lot of there's some that do have mental illness. Some do have substance, but the majority of it is criminal network. Yes, I said it. Prove me wrong, right? Prove me wrong. So anyway, I'm gonna go out here, do some working out, get myself, get my vitamin D. Even though I'm a woman of color, I still need vitamin D from the sunlight. That's the best way to get it. Being outdoors is beautiful for the skin if you don't overindulge. And that's our issue. We're into overindulging, overdoing it, over-exercising, over this, we consume this gluttony at an extreme pathological level. We're at a pathological level of our behaviors and actions. And once I get done here, I'm going to come back and talk again about, the artificial intelligence. Even though the damage has been done, a lot of us need to be prepared for what artificial intelligence has in store for us. Okay? I'm going to send peace and love all over the stars and moon and mountains. Pay attention to yourself. Reflect on yourself. Monitor, observe, watch what other people are doing without interfering. Leave people alone.